In a surprise few would have expected, President Sir Ramaphosa has legislated into being one of the most far-reaching and divisive pieces of law in South African democracy's history. A bill aimed not at silencing the opposition or public protests, but at striking at the very center of his own political base, the African National Congress. The law, officially known as the Parliamentary Integrity and Conduct Reform Act, gives the executive branch authorities never before seen in South Africa. It authorizes the President and his office to institute disciplinary inquiries, mete out sanctions, suspend members of Parliament from service or even expel them outright if they are guilty of misconduct, corruption or dereliction of duty. For years, Ramaphosa has talked of his new dawn, vowing to restore the ANC as a clean, ethical party that could recapture the confidence of South Africans. But until now, those pledges have too often been laughed off as rhetoric encumbered by perpetual delays, internal struggles, and compromises. This law is a sea change. Ramaphosa has passed the point of no return. Addressing the country after signing the bill, the president spoke with rare passion. This is not about vengeance. It is about accountability. The people of South Africa deserve better than the corruption, the infighting and the sabotage we have tolerated for far too long. The political establishment is shaken. The shockwave impacted immediately, not only because the law was enacted, but because of who was dismissed first. Hours after the law came into effect, Ramaphosa's office issued a statement that Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy Gwede Mantashe had been dismissed of his parliamentary responsibilities. Mantesh, the ANC heavyweight, was not a common target. For decades, he embodied the entrenched old guard, fighting hard to defend the ANC against its detractors while at the same time constructing networks of influence in mining and energy. Up to now, he was even one of the most stalwart defenders of Ramaphosa within the party. But accounts have long associated Mantesh with neglect in the handling of South Africa's power crisis, charges of facilitating tainted deals in the mining industry, and damning financial impropriety identified through internal audits. Ramaphosa's action therefore was precise. If he intended to make a statement that there was no one who was immune, he could not have done better. And the message is loud and clear. No one is safe any longer. The new law permits instant suspension of MPs under investigation, depriving them of parliamentary immunity, barring them from votes or debates, and refusing them government-paid legal defenses. The executive has never had such a weapon before. Opponents both within and outside the ANC are outraged. Veteran party leaders have branded the bill a betrayal, calling Ramaphosa a dictator in sheep's clothing. Some formations are already writing a motion of no confidence. While lawyers draw up constitutional court challenges, they contend that the act erodes the division of powers and conveys perilous authority into the hands of one man. But in a twist of fate, opposition parties, the same competitors who normally throw jabs at Ramaphosa at every turn, are cheering. The Democratic Alliance and even some members of the Economic Freedom Fighters have embraced the reform cautiously, labeling it long overdue and the first possible step toward purging Parliament of corruption within the ANC itself. Though the repercussions have been explosive, Ramaphosa has set a fire under his own party. If Mantesh could go down, who else might be next? There are rumors circulating through Latuli House and Parliament that names are being mentioned. Nomula Yenjini, David Malobo, Lende Zulu, all of them establishment figures, all of them charged with improper conduct or factional destabilization. Sources indicate that Ramaphosa's inner circle has prepared a secret list of between 15 MPs and ministers targeted for investigation, with further removals to come in batches. Some ANC branches have vowed open rebellion, accusing the president of weaponizing reform to eliminate his political rivals. Others see the writing on the wall and are quietly preparing to jump ship, potentially forming splinter parties that could shatter the ANC's decades-long dominance of South African politics. For regular citizens, the mood is ambivalent. On Twitter and Facebook, encouragement of Ramaphosa's bluntness is ringing. Hashtags such as hashtag #CleanANC and hashtag Ramaphosa strikes are trending. People who had lost hope in the ANC a long time ago are tentatively optimistic that perhaps finally there is genuine accountability, but some are not so sure. Legal academics and civil society organizations warn of the danger. Today it's Mantesh tweeted one person, but tomorrow it might be anyone who is brave enough to say something about the president. What if Ramaphosa or a future president uses this measure not to combat corruption but to gag critics? The risk Ramaphosa is taking is colossal. He is risking his presidency, his tenuous coalitions and his political existence on this high-reward, high-stakes gamble. If the act succeeds, he might secure his place as the man who at last put an end to ANC corruption, bringing dignity back to parliament and hope to a fatigued public. If it fails, he might be remembered as the leader who destroyed his own party from the inside out, hastening the collapse of the ANC. What cannot be denied is that the battlefield has changed. Parliament is no longer a refuge for those who are cowering behind party loyalty or parliamentary privilege. Each MP knows now that they too could be next. Behind the scenes, ANC factions are in a tizzy. Emergency sessions are being held. The old guard, so-called, is said to be mobilizing around a strategy to remove Ramaphosa before the purge goes any further. Others are calling for calm, holding out hope that the courts will step in. For the opposition, the show is nearly as surreal as they would like. For once, they don't have to be the ones ripping into the ANC. The ruling party is doing the job itself. And yet, South Africa overall hangs in the balance. On the one hand, the prospects for real reform and accountability have never been brighter. On the other, the danger of authoritarian drift and self-destruction within the ANC threatens to plunge the country into political crisis. What started as rumors of reform has boiled over into an all-out civil war within the ruling party. Ramaphosa's new dawn has arrived, but at a price no one completely envisioned. While the nation observes, it is clear this is only the start of something larger. The coming days will feature new names, new disclosures, and fresh wars that will reshape South Africa's political landscape forever. And for Ramaphosa, it is all or nothing. He has put his hand on the wheel firmly and is steering the ANC into unknown seas. Whether he emerges a reformer or a destroyer will only be known later.